We're closing the show with one more movie, and it is from filmmaker Jeremiah Kipp. The movie is The Mortuary Assistant. The movie is based on a popular and critically acclaimed video game of the same name, which was released in 2022. Filmmaker Jeremiah Kipp gives his cinematic adaptation of that video game, and it centers on this mortician played by Rebecca Owens. This mortician, Rebecca Owens, played by Willa Holland. And Willa Holland is very good in this movie. She's the lead. Rebecca Owens, she accepts a job at the mortuary. And the beginning of the movie, you see her trying to become the mortuary assistant and actually having the profession and the skills to land this job. Once she lands the job, her boss, played by, I believe his name's Paul Sparks. That's the name of the actor. I'll look it up on IMDb. He gives her a job to say, hey, you're going to be here during the mornings, and that's how you're going to work. But then she said, hey, I'll be available at the night too. And he said, no, you're not going to work at night. Don't worry. You're going to be working in the day. Well, what happens within, I think, minutes, something really crazy happens. And the rest of the movie, and actually most of the rest of the movie, takes place at night. It's a night shift type of movie, and it's directed by Jeremiah Kipp. Really well done film. Erik, what is your thoughts on this movie?
It was creepy. It made me want to got me interested in playing the game. And there was some bits in the movie that I just assumed they made up for the movie, but apparently those, like the old addiction angle that they had, I don't know if that's too much. Well, you mentioned it in the interview, but there's a bit of an addiction angle there. I was like, oh, that's pretty smart that they put that in there. Turns out that's part of the game too. It was like, oh, well, I think I need to play this game because the movie's pretty good. And yeah, it just got me in there. All the sort of unreliable narrator stuff that happens was cool. I mean, it feels like a Jacob's Ladder sort of thing. I don't know if you got that as well, but.
Well, and Jacob's Ladder, that's a reference, listeners. If you haven't seen this movie, it's a lot of the movie you're thinking it's going to be one thing and it ends up being another. And it's like Erik was saying, unreliable narrator or a different type of perspective than you're used to. And sometimes it'll flip it on its head. So
yeah, I think kind of like Slapface is like, it's sort of the movie you think it is, but then there's just enough in there to add that little extra that pushes it a little bit beyond what you're expecting.
Yeah. So you really liked it?
I did, yes.
Okay, so let me talk about this movie. This is a great movie by Jeremiah Kipp, and what makes it work for me is pretty much a tour de force performance by Willa Holland as Rebecca Owens. There are a lot of situations. Okay, so they're in a mortuary and there's cadavers. Because there might be things that happen that might not be realistic, obviously these cadavers will supposedly come alive, possibly. All right. So and sometimes it's up to the viewer's perspective on whether they think what's happening is real or not. Because Erik was mentioning there might be something with a drug addiction. We won't mention the other layer. The other layer is a spoiler, a big spoiler, but it's not a spoiler if you play the game, right? It's not a spoiler to the millions of people who played the game because that's the plot crux of the video game. That's the propulsive narrative. But we'll just say this. We can actually say this because this is, Erik, a plot summary is, well, here it says, a mortician or a mortuary science graduate who takes a night job at Rivers Fields Mortuary. What begins as a routine job soon turns sinister as she faces terrifying supernatural forces. So okay. IMDb says she faces terrifying supernatural forces. There's actually a plot summary from the distributor that specifically talks about what those supernatural forces are, which is fine. And I haven't listened to Bruce's full.
I think we could say because if I'm not mistaken, that's one of the main gameplay mechanics within the game.
Okay, so yeah, you can mention what is the main mechanic, Erik, in the game.
So she's going through these dead bodies, but some of the dead bodies are like possessed or.
There is a demon element to the mortuary assistant. Actually, a huge demon element.
But then she can't just find the demon body. She's got to find like the specific demon body. kind of like with
That's explained probably the rest of the game. That's probably explaining the rest of the game. Probably I think that's a. Don't you think that's a big part of it? Or
no, that's what she
okay,
has to do.
all
And
right,
it's in
okay.
Lost Boys. It's like it's okay. We know there's vampires. How do we get rid of them? We gotta kill the head vampire. So now they're trying to figure out who the head
Okay.
vampire is. So with this, there's the dead bodies, and then the some of them are demons. But she's got to get she's got to find the right demon, and then she does that by she gets that
Then
wooden
that's
thing, or
probably.
she's got to find the demon's name or whatever.
I don't know. I think that just okay. All right. That's
Well, no,
probably
that's that.
explains the whole part of the second half, don't you think? That's the
No,
whole
it
mechanic of
explains
it.
what her mission. That's what she's got to do. That's
But
her mission for the
but you don't
movie.
know what her mission is because at the first half you're still figuring out the addiction part until the second half he tells her boss tells her what's going on and then
I mean
gives her-
that part would be
that's
it. That
40
part would be
minutes
it.
that's 40 minutes in. That's 40 minutes in when you get the goal. I mean, all right, I guess. Well, okay, so she has to find a cadaver which has possibly a possessed situation. And
Yeah.
then I thought, well, I guess we don't have to talk about spoilers then. And then she just has to find the demon in the body, I guess. And that's the rest of the mortuary
Well,
assistant.
I mean, the spoilers would be like all the stuff that happens after that, and then
Okay, let's see. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Is disturbing? Okay. Oh, well, actually, look here. As disturbing events escalate, Rebecca uncovers demonic rituals, the dark secrets of her enigmatic mentor, and her own buried trauma, racing to survive the night before her body becomes a vessel for possession. I guess, yeah, they basically, you're right, Eric. They say basically everything. And I guess the mission of it is Rebecca has to find the demon and one of the things I don't want to talk about how she. Do you want to talk about how she does the demon stuff or the
I mean,
equation?
it's that wooden thing. I mean, not much to it really.
All right. Okay.
She's got to, yeah. We don't have to be
Huh.
specific about it, but it's that wooden block thing with the little pods, I guess they are.
They're like yeah, they're like pogs, and then yeah, I guess that yeah, and then so basically she's looking for demon in the mortuary, and then also she's had past drug addiction, and she's had past trauma, and it's how she tries to work her way through that. And I haven't actually listened to Bruce's review to see how if he talks about all that other stuff, but that's a movie, and it's
I
really
think
good. And
I think
yeah,
that
go ahead.
I think that drug addiction angle is a good addition to the story because it also adds the kind of confuses the unreliable narrator a bit.
Yes, it does. It does.
It's
It
like,
mixes it up.
is this actually happening, or is this because she's using again, or it's hard to trust what she's seeing, and if that's actually part of the story, or if this is something else entirely.
And we have to also know that the mortuary assistant is actually a confusing movie because there's so, and I don't mean this is not a knock against the story or Jeremiah Kipp. It's confusing because you don't know, like Eric just said, is it the drug stuff? Are the demons actually there? Is it a figment of imagination? Is she possessed by a demon and that's what is making her have these images of things that are happening to her? And then also, whatever your interpretation of the mortuary assistant is, that can be confusing. So it's a whole big gumbo pot of confusion, which is good. It makes you guessing left and
Mystery.
right. Yeah, it's a mystery. Yeah, it makes you guessing left and right until the inevitable. And I was going to say before we talked about spoilers and whatnot, or what I thought about spoilers, and Eric was thinking about spoilers. But yeah, I guess the plot summary gives it all away, I guess. So maybe I'm wrong in
Well,
this, but
not all of it, because the spoiler discussion would be what the talk they have at the end.
okay, yeah, we can talk about that towards the
Because
end.
there's a part where there's scenes where it's okay, this is because I mean the end itself is almost a double entendre, which is and that goes back with the unreliable narrator. Is it real? Is it her drug addiction? Like the ending also plays with that too, where it's a thing happens, but you can also take it depending on where your brain's at. You can take it in two directions.
That's very true. Yeah, this is a very interpretive horror thriller, which is, I think, one of the biggest strengths of the Mortuary Assistant. I think the huge, big strength, again, is Willa Holland, because she has to play different emotions and possibly even different characters in the Mortuary Assistant. I always thought she was, I think she was in a series called Arrow. Never saw that. but she was in that other movie that you and I reviewed a couple years ago. I think, what was it called? The something South. Was it the Dirty South that Willa Holland was in?
Yeah,
It was with yeah, that's what it was
yeah,
called, with Dermot Mulroney. She was very good in that one, and she's good in this one. And Erik and me and Erik, you and I really love Slapface. I know Bruce liked it, but I
yeah.
really love Slapface, and I really liked the Mortuary Assistant because the scares itself, some of the scares you see, you've probably seen it in so many different films, but the way it's contextualized in this movie, like Erik was saying, you have no idea what's going on, as opposed to a straight supposed scare. It's a linear situation. With the mortuary assistant, when something happens, you're going, okay, that is, I've seen that a million times before, but not in this context, because you're still wondering what the heck is going on? What is this? Why did this cadaver just awake? Is this real, or who's behind this? And so, like Erik was saying, it is a mystery, and the mystery part really works for me. This is also a rewatchable film that I really enjoyed, and I like the ending, which we're going to get to the spoilers as well. Just based on all of that stuff, the Mortuary Assistant, I was expecting excellence from Jeremiah Kipp again. I got it. Not as emotionally resonant to me as Slapface, since I'm a huge, huge fan of Slapface, but still a really well executed movie. Great job by Willa Holland. And I want to mention something, Erik. I love what Kipp does with the visuals and the compositions. There is one specific small scene, and it's an indicative of a lot of stuff in the movie, where the character, Willa Holland's character, she drives into the parking lot, okay, of the mortuary house, right? Rebecca, that's the character's name. Rebecca drives, and usually a director will have some kind of shot of a car going into the parking lot, but the shot starts with the house, the actual mortuary house, the mortuary, right? That mortuary. The camera is trained on the house, and you see as different parts of that house, of the mortuary, for a couple of seconds, and then as the camera moves throughout the mortuary just for a couple of seconds, it goes to the window, and then you see the car coming into the parking lot. It's just a little minor touch, but says so much stuff, and I really loved the way it was shot. So overall, my rating for the Mortuary Assistant, 4.5 stars. Erik, final thoughts, comments, and your rating.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking 3.5 on this, but I feel that it might bump up to a 4 once we talk about the end some more. Because yeah, you're right. Once you get to the end and once you kind of see everything that's going on, you kind of almost want to watch it again to see like all the not so much like any big twists or anything. I suppose there's a couple of those, but you want to watch it less for the twists and more for the metaphor that's being threaded through here. You
Yeah,
know what?
there's a
Screw it.
lot
Yeah,
to unpack.
I'll just give it a 4. I think I'm at 3.5 now, but I just know that once I watch it again, it's gonna bump up a bit.
Okay.
In fact, I don't
So,
even need to watch it again. I know once we start talking about it in spoilers. What was that movie that we did was it last week or 2 weeks ago? That's why I hate number ratings, but like
mm,
I gave it a number rating and we did the spoilers, and then as we're doing spoilers, I think I bumped it up to 6.9 or something like that. But
mm,
yeah,
yeah.
Mortuary Assistant's good. I'm curious what people like fans of the video game think,
Yeah.
because I talked with Jeremy Kipp about that. It's like people are gonna think what they're gonna think, so nothing you can do about it. But as a someone that didn't even know the video game existed, I thought it was really good. And
Yeah, it's one of these things.
you always wonder because like fans of something like they might watch Mortuary Assistant and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, they nailed it. This is exactly the movie I wanted to watch from this video game," or they might watch it and go, "Oh, you changed this or didn't do that or whatever," and then they hate it. So it's impossible to say, but
And I hate to say this also, maybe this is, I don't know if I'm describing it correctly, but it's a horror movie that's tastefully done. And what I mean by that is you're setting your movie in a mortuary. You could have had a lot more cheap scares with the bodies, and there are
yeah,
moments of that, but he could have overdone it, and he didn't within
this wasn't
context.
really that kind of movie though. Like that,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
this was more of a they were going more for a mood or whatever.
yeah,
Uh,
atmospheric type of
yeah, there you
horror
go.
film. Yeah. Speaking though, even though it is atmospheric, there are some squeamish moments in this movie, and I won't wanna. If you don't like the look of certain people giving themselves stitches. What is it when they're stitching themselves up? I'm not going to say which character does it, but I got a little bit squeamish there. But there's some squeamish moments in the Mortuary Assistant. Of course, that's part of the genre. Again, 4 stars from Erik, 4.5 stars from me. The Mortuary Assistant, starring Willa Holland and directed by Jeremiah Kipp. And again, that actor, I forgot to give him some love. I think his name is Paul Sparks. I was a huge fan of him in Boardwalk Empire. Paul Sparks. He's really good in this with what he has to work with. And I will say this without giving too much away. There's a moment where Rebecca Owens, she's doing work on a cadaver, and then she plays music on a cassette player, or what is it? And you're wondering, why is she playing a cassette player in what do they used to call those as, on a cassette player? And you're thinking, this seems completely out of whack, but it's not, because it's dated for a reason, and you'll get to realize it when you uncover the mystery, because where she finds out more about the mortuary and what her plan is, or how she fixes herself into the equation. There's some really interesting uncovering in, I guess, I don't know if it's the basement but there's some really great old school methods of how she discovers what's going on in the Mortuary Assistant. Again, Erik and I will have a quick spoiler at the end of this episode, and we'll post it up on our YouTube channel about several days from now, but then Patreon members will get early access.